YouTube? I'm Tom Morrow, and this is my co-host, Al Dente, and we are World of Pro Wrestling,
where we give our opinion on the current state of the wrestling industry today, and today our topic is...
how the PG era
changed John Cena. There probably has not been a more controversial figure in wrestling than John Cena.
And from the beginning, he had a very promising future with the WWE.
For example, when he first started, it was during the ruthless aggression era that Vince wanted to start out.
Before the PG.
Before the PG. And he came out and faced Kurt Angle. And
that's when Kurt Angle used to call out people week by week and always beat them.
That's when Kurt Angle was a badass. Now he's on TNA. But the match was actually pretty good. And unfortunately for Cena, but fortunately at the time, his wrestling moves were actually pretty good.
And he had wrestling gear on. No jeans, no sneakers. Yeah. He actually did wrestling.
Yeah, look, he just came out of the gym for OVW. Not the OVW, but he just came out of the gym doing some kind of college wrestling move.
Yeah.
But still, he was pretty good. He had some good wrestling moves. He could have honed his skills and gotten better, and he was very good
in the beginning. And that's when he started out on SmackDown.
Yeah.
And at that point, his character began to grow. He came in about 2001, 2002.
Yeah.
Then he started to change into his Thugonomics.
Yeah,
John Cena, where he rapped against people.
The Doctor of Thugonomics, and he had rap videos, and
he made his own music album.
He had his own music album,
rap album.
He actually had a character at the time that we actually understood and liked. He
came out, he rapped against Kenzo Suzuki, Rikishi, Kurt Angle, Big Show. And you could go on YouTube and find any of those, and it's hilarious every time you watch it. John Cena was funny week by week.
Yeah, he was funny. I mean, he was like the DX just in one guy. He would curse a lot and make sometimes inappropriate jokes.
He was a funny heel.
Yeah, he was a funny heel. And a lot of people liked him for that, and he was a pretty good wrestler at the time, but...
People liked his
character enough.
Everybody liked his character.
Yeah, I think everyone liked him, but, he was still a heel, so he still had that gimmick, but sooner or later, people started liking him enough for them to give him a title push. Not a world title push, but the U.S. title push.
And at that point, JBL with his cabinet of Orlando Jordan, Jillian Hall, and the Basham brothers.
Yeah. And John Cena, at this point, we were still in high school, and I was starting to think of him as like the next People's Champion. And
he was good. People liked him, and he could speak very well. He had good mic skills.
Mm-hmm.
And with JBL at that point, he had it wasn't his SmackDown Championship, the highest belt he could have. He had the United States belt because JBL held the highest belt for a year.
Mm-hmm.
JBL had the United States Championship, in which John Cena fought him for, and I believe he won at the Great American Bash, and that was John Cena's first title.
Yeah,
and then he came out with the United States Spinner Belt, which I really liked. I really liked the United States Spinner Belt.
Yeah, you have to say that if you don't like his wrestling talent today, you have to say that he at least innovated the look of the belts, at least two of them in particular. The U.S. title when he had it, and the WWE title. It was kind of like the Stone Cold Skull title. The Skull title, that he had for, I don't know how long it was, but he had it.
But you could see the push early on SmackDown.
It was interesting. It was a nice gimmick, but, it got to the point where I was getting tired of seeing that belt, and I thought it was disrespectful because...
So then once he lost that belt, he got so popular that eventually he went up to fight, I don't remember who he fought. It was either Brock Lesnar.
I think it was Lesnar.
Was Lesnar? Or it was JBL again. And at that point, he won his World Heavyweight... No, it was the WWE title. WWE title. And he put the spinner on that. At that point, I was a good Cena fan at that point.
At the time, it was a very good move by the WWE because he was a crowd favorite. He was
appealing to young and old.
Yeah, he was bringing young and...
His mic skill was high up there.
And the women. He was bringing back women into wrestling.
So what do you do with a great superstar that's on SmackDown?
Bring him to Raw.
You bring him to Raw. And what happened the moment he went to Raw? He never turned heel again.
Never turned heel again. He stayed babyface, and then...
So he was on Raw, and he won the title a year in.
He had it for a year, and towards the end of around the time where it was one of the Elimination Chamber matches, and I was swearing to myself that he was going to lose, and then he won, but he actually lost to Edge.
Yeah, that started happening a lot more. That typical wrestling, you lose.
Yeah.
Most of the time, sometimes. But the thing with John Cena is, he started to win a little bit too much.
Yeah.
A little bit too much.
And then he kind of started to get into the position where he would only use a couple of moves, and his wrestling just went down.
Yeah, but the more he became the face of the company, the more he took a Rock or Hogan role, where he started to do more house shows and started being on more shows. They wanted him to do a lot less wrestling and rest. So a lot of his matches became John Cena on the floor, John Cena on the floor, John Cena gets up, does the 5 moves of doom.
At the time,
and wins.
At the time, his the first finisher that he had was
the FU.
He had the FU,
not the Attitude Adjustment.
Not the Attitude Adjustment, but he also didn't have the STFU. I think that came in later.
Not yet. That came later.
Yeah, that came in later. This was still before PG. And then it just started getting to the point.
His move, that was awesome. He gave you the FU and you cheered for him.
Yeah.
And then.
But it started getting to the point where the rivalries he was in weren't that good. Like, he had a rivalry with Umaga that wasn't that good. The Edge one was alright, but Umaga wasn't good. I didn't like Lashley either. And
the one with Batista was...
yeah, well, no.
But he had nobody that was at his level, really. Except, now it's Orton, but...
Everyone was better in terms of wrestling at his level, but his character kind of died off.
Because that's when it switched to PG. Yeah. John Cena was a non-PG character.
Yeah.
His character was about the rap gimmick. He's gonna beat you down. He's gonna curse you out. But the moment PG came, Vince flipped his character to be Mr. Hero and win every match and save everybody. And that doesn't appeal to a large part of the market, which is the adults paying for these things, but then the kids for the PG,
it does appeal to the women and it appeals to the little kids.
But it doesn't appeal to us.
No, it doesn't appeal to long-time hardcore wrestling
Attitude
fans.
Era.
Era.
Early Cena with the whole Thuganomics thing, that was great, but Thuganomics became C-Nation.
Yeah.
And the FU became the Attitude Adjustment, and the STFU became the STF. And it's hustle, loyalty, respect, not the chain gang.
And Hogan...
no more... You saw when The Rock came back.
Yeah.
How he rapped against The Rock and how funny that was.
That was funny, and he only brought it back for one night. And
that's why
sad.
He needs to become a heel.
Yeah.
Therefore, he could start doing that gimmick again, but saying lines that are still in the PG area, but still have his character back. Because right now, all I see John Cena doing is coming out, beating up people, and going back. He doesn't come out, doesn't talk. He just He doesn't even make fun of people.
He doesn't have, like you were saying, like to be in the PG era. He doesn't have to be using profanity, but he can, beef up his words a little bit and be a little more tougher.
Yeah, he has to be a little bit more tough. He's been champ 17 times in WWE.
The Tooth Fairy jokes that he's been making about The Rock, and he made another one on Twitter recently. They're pretty good.
Yeah, they're funny.
But he's not saying them on live TV. And I kind of get the feeling that he doesn't even know where he wants to go with the character. He's kind of like Hogan showed us that you don't have to have wrestling talent to be popular. But he had a defined character, and I don't think Cena can actually use the character that Hogan had.
Yeah, but Cena, in order to retake our fan base, just like The Rock and Hogan before him, he has to become a heel. He has to be a bad guy. Mm-hmm. He has to have people not like him for the right reasons. I mean, we went to a Raw show on Long Island. It was the week right before Capital Punishment, and you heard Booker T and Michael Cole saying, "Oh, let's go." They have a really strong following for CM Punk. They weren't chanting for CM Punk. They were saying, "Cena sucks."
Yeah.
It was Cena sucks. And we kept that chant as loud as we could go.
It was the longest chant I've ever heard.
Loudest.
Sometimes we just brought it up just for spite, just so we could get some people going, and we got it.
And we got it. And you heard it on TV, and that's what we liked. We need Cena to to take fans that hate him and hate him for real because he is the bad guy.
Yeah, he has to use that anger in a positive way that's actually going to help his character in the company. I mean, you're going to get a lot more people like us coming back in.
I see him come WrestleMania time next year when he still has the belt because he's just going to have the belt.
He might not have
He's going to be the heel against The Rock. That's how I see his character changing.
In the eyes
since he got drafted to Raw, he has not turned heel.
Yeah.
So it's been a really long time.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he's going to turn heel. In the eyes of the fans in that match, he's going to be heel, and Rock is going to be face, but they're not going to officially do that. They wouldn't do it. It's going to be WrestleMania 18 all over again. So
the only way we could see John Cena being liked by our demographic again
is if he turns heel.
If he becomes a bad guy.
Yeah.
And I hope he does, because at that point, I'll be a member of the C Nation. And I will cheer for John Cena.
Yeah, I would.
Alright, I think that's all the time we have for today. If you liked our video, we've got 2 words for you. Please
subscribe.
Also, you can follow us on Twitter at AlWPW, Tom at Twitter.com.
And the question today is, which do you prefer? The old or the current John Cena, and why?
Leave your answers and comments below. See ya!
Keep in the ring, YouTube.